Dun 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 dun.
Before we even start this episode, big shout outs to Bishop. You know, in my head, there's still Reverend, eh? Somehow I always refer to him as Reverend.
What's the difference?
I need to put much more respect on him. He upgraded.
What is the difference, though?
He can explain his...
No, well, you seem to have an issue with the title, so I don't know if you know.
I don't know the difference, eh? I think a bishop is like an overseer of many
a bishop
pastors,
will be
many
someone
preachers.
who coordinates the Church of God across different geographies.
And
Right.
and the Reverend, that's what he was before, right?
Yeah, he
and
was
the Reverend.
Well, the reverend can be in one location. It's not, you could just be pastoring the church and you are a reverend.
So a bishop is like the group
By
CEO.
the time exactly, something like that. It's not like if you don't use the title, you are stranded, but,
Stranded.
but the title allows you flow and identification.
Yeah. So he's overseeing many churches, many pastors.
Churches, many pastors, some are churches he started in different cities. Some are just churches who submit to him and he mentors.
Makes sense.
Right. So big shout out to Bishop Bruce City for making this one possible, bringing us an international speaker. And forgive me if I have to read, I do have to read this man's profile here because it's quite a long one. And I'll try to summarize as much as possible before we proceed with today's episode. His name is, correct me if I'm wrong, Olakunle. That's how you pronounce it.
Perfect.
Olakunle Soriyan.
PK?
Perfect.
Is it PK?
But PK works perfectly.
But why PK?
So, Pastor Kunle, I don't pastor a church. I used to pastor young people on different campuses. So that's where the name stuck. My 86-year-old mom calls me PK. My 13-year-old boy calls me PK. So
Your son calls you PK.
Yeah, everybody calls me PK. Some don't even know the meaning. So
that's so un-African of your son to call you by your name. Does your son call your son?
No, he calls me daddy.
You see? My kids call me daddy as well.
I'm not.
He calls me daddy too, but that was the time. I mean, it's just freedom. PK is Pastor Kunle, so
How old is he?
he works 13.
Okay.
13.
Okay.
So as I was saying, so PK is the curator of the PK Alone Tour.
Yes.
You called it the Alone Tour. So he is a Forbes, Wall Street Journal, and USA Today best-selling author.
Yes.
Wow. What? I don't know this word. Autodidact? Didactic?
Yes.
Also, you know this word? Autodidact?
No.
What is this one?
Well, I think we leave it for people to check it out.
Google the word. Autodidact.
I know autodidact because my bank always does that every month.
Direct debits.
Just deduct money out of my account.
An eclectic global thought leader, futurist, iconoclast, manifestation strategist, impact investor, and recipient of the prestigious President Joseph R. Biden, or is it Joe Biden to the rest of us, Lifetime Achievement Award. Who are you?
I'm a man.
Wow.
Wait,
It goes on.
Wait, he got the Lifetime Achievement Award
Joe
from Biden?
Yes.
But to be fair, Biden didn't probably know who he was.
No.
The important thing is people in his circle knew who PK was. And with a unique blend of gift, skill, and aptitude, PK is arguably one of the most resourceful talents in the world. Who wrote this?
Let me tell you something before he answers.
Yeah.
Kalinga calls me yesterday. So I was supposed to have been out of the country by now. And he knows this.
Yeah.
There's another guest that we have today who I was okay missing out on the episode for. So he calls me and he says, I just got a call from
Bishop.
the bishop. And there's a gentleman that he says we need to speak to from Nigeria. And so when he mentions that, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I hope this is not who I think it is. So then I said to Kalinga, can you give me the name of the person? Because that was going to determine if I was going to be present or not.
Yes.
He says, okay, give me a second. So he, I don't know if you call the bishop back to ask for the name or whatever, but he then gets back to me with a YouTube clip. What did I say to you?
What time? Let's do this.
I said, oh God, I was hoping it's not this guy. I will tell you something.
Please.
I grew up in a very traditional church, the Dutch Reformed Church. The first time ever that I went to Mount Zion was actually when the bishop called me and said, man, I need you to come and try out the church. The first time that I went to Mount Zion is the day that you also were there, I would like to think.
Interesting.
And so I sat there, and that was my introduction to Pentecostal. And I sat there and I listened to this man. Man.
I mean, the way you responded yesterday, it can only mean this man left an indelible mark on you.
100%.
That you had to change your whole day's plan and
my
flight.
God.
And flight.
Oh my
everything.
God.
I was supposed to have left at 6 a.m. this morning.
Oh my God.
And that's why I was late, because now I had
you.
to. No, thank you. Thank you. So yeah, you are incredible. The way you put things into perspective. I wish you've listened to this man speak.
I wish I was there now.
The
But
way
I think I
he
can find the
puts
videos
things
on
into
YouTube.
perspective,
Yeah.
the analogies that he makes, and he doesn't sound like, I don't know if that was a preaching or a teaching.
What are you? How would you describe yourself?
Well, I think I'm a voice.
Okay.
I recognize that the world is fast and faster than what people are ready for.
Okay.
I try to not be that quantity that tries to repeat a lot of things that the soul itself already acknowledges. So I would say things like, if it's on Google, I don't want to talk about it. Because I think, why should we come on this podcast, for example? We're talking about things anyone can find on Google. We can as well go get the links and send it to people.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to be the voice of the conscience, empowering people to take responsibility at the highest level. Right. That's what I want to be. It doesn't matter where that voice we find its expression, whether it's in church or in a temple or in a mosque or in a nightclub. It really doesn't matter. I just want to be that voice in the conscience, freeing people to consider possibilities beyond their known self, beyond their known geographies, beyond just knowing that there's always newness, regardless of where you are, what you do, and there's always more, right? I'm not a religious voice.
Oh.
Yes. I'm a very spiritual person.
Okay.
But I believe that the more spiritual you become, the more relatable you should become. I don't think spirituality should log you off everyday contemporary life. Otherwise, you become a spiritist. So the real wisdom in being spiritual is to multiply relationships and create connectedness. So if people cannot connect with you, and you say you are spiritual in the name of anything, you're not spiritual.
How did you get here? Have you always been this person?
No. So that's the thing. I like to say that I've spent a lot of time on the left side of life. On the left side is what I consider, not the liberal left. I mean, the left side where you do all the things stupid before you begin to go right. So, I spent 12 years in a university, for example, studying a 4-year course.
I was about to ask that. How you spent 12 years studying a 4-year course?
I was trying to graduate for 12 years. And in 12 years in any university, 12 sets we graduate, because a set graduates every year.
Every year.
Right. And
you became part of the furniture.
My mom used to call me Methuselah. She was convinced I would be in school forever. Right. And I was in school for 12 years, same school, same faculty, same course, and having younger and younger kids for classmates. It was very shameful, embarrassing. I've tasted a lot of things. I've tasted everything from chewing gum to drugs. I've played with a lot of things. I was in a cult. I was restless. I was a really troubled kid, right? I made a lot of mistakes. I couldn't pass. I mean, in my first year, I failed 8 out of 9 courses.
Wow.
You know, by the time I was in my 400 level, that's the way we put it in Nigeria way back. That's supposed to be final year, 4 years education. I wasn't going to graduate because I was dealing with about over 50 courses I was yet to pass. So I spent the next 8 years struggling with that. So I wasn't obviously smart, but I realized that first in class is really not first in life. I came to understand my essence as a human being by a spiritual encounter. And that has been it for me. So it has not always been like this. I've had to struggle. I don't like to give too much details about some of my history because it can even look like a movie sometimes.
A Nigerian movie. Give it to us.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And some young people even can begin to find inspiration in that, trying to do that, you know, and I don't consider myself, I don't believe in luck, but I also don't consider that there's any strategic path or system or principle that brought me here. I think I'm a pure product of grace and providence. So I don't recommend my history to anyone just because I'm here. I think so many people, we have the misfortune of experiencing what I've experienced and not make it here. So there's no formula that brought me here.
Okay.
So my past doesn't lead people here. I'm an exception. So nobody should copy it. So I don't give too much details about it so that people don't think, oh, he did all of that and he's still here. I can
do the same thing too.
You're not going to get here. Mercy, grace, a lot of providence played out in how I got here.
So a quick question. In the 12 years that you were in university, why didn't you just give up? The part of you wanted to give up?
I want to be honest, I wanted to, but I think providence again, for some reason, I knew that I will have to get an education of some sort. I knew that I cannot get away from not having a degree. I just don't know how I got that clarity. But I was going to die first than not have a degree. So I fought for it. And if I see what I do now and all that I've built down, it would really have been impossible for me to come this far without a degree. So I don't think that academics, it's a difference maker in how we journey, but I think that it's a level playing field that allows you to build, right? So I think that academics is what you are taught, which is important, but education is what you teach yourself. And part of what has happened to people is a lot of people are academically qualified, but they are not educated. Because to be educated, you have to be able to do 4 things. And if you are not experiencing those 4 things, even with a PhD, you are not educated still.
What are those?
Those 4 things are: 1, the ability to experience your world. Just take everything in as data, right? Number 2, to be able to question everything you are experiencing and don't take anything as a fact, right? You don't greet knowledge or anything with belief. You don't greet anything with acceptance. You don't greet knowledge with opinion or view. You greet knowledge with curiosity. And that curiosity allows you to question everything. Then from what you are questioning, you need to birth options. Because the difference between the lion and you and I is the ability to create options. The lion is still naked and doesn't shave because he can't birth options outside of his design. We were all naked with the lion in the jungle at a point. We were all not shaving, but we could birth options. We could question everything. We could ask, why must I be like this? And so we moved. We started shaving. We moved from the jungle. We built hamlets. We did villages. We did towns, cities, mega cities, now smart cities. We keep going because we can question everything. So the ability to create options, is part of education. Now, the final one is to be able to make the most important decisions with the options you are creating. So confusion, for example, is not a psychological state. When you are confused, you are not stupid. As a matter of fact, you are also not ignorant. Confusion is the inability or refusal to make a decision in the face of options. So for you to be confused, you actually know many things to do. You just can't settle on one.
You can make a decision.
You can make a decision, right? So if you can't do all of that, you are not experiencing your world. You can't question what you are experiencing. You can't create options from what you are questioning, and you can't make decisions from the options you are creating. Then you are not educated. So education is the ability of the human spirit to experience his world, question everything enough to bet the options and to know which of those options to embrace as a matter of supreme importance and urgency. And if you can't do that, even with a PhD, then you're not educated.
Wow.
That's it.
That's deep. I think let me just quickly give a shout out to the people making this episode possible. That's Brothers Mocktails. And if you haven't tried their flavors, we've got Pina Colada, we've got Cosmo, we've got Strawberry Lime Crisp, and of course Mojito. Try those flavors out today. And also Technocammon 40.
Yep. I think on the 10th, they are celebrating their 10th anniversary in Zambia. They have got a new product that they'll be launching, the Spark 40 series. Brilliant phone. Amazing price point. So for those students that would like a brand new phone, not what Brian Chanda is selling, awesome camera, awesome processor, AI, all that wonderful stuff. Look out for that product. You said we had somebody else who reached out to you from America.
No, that's another episode.
Oh, it's not this episode?
No.
Okay.
Back to PK.
You see, we got too many people reaching out to us.
Awesome. That's amazing.
Back to PK. I noticed something in your bio, which there's a word I love so much, manifestation. And I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction, manifesting things that you want to see in your life. But I've never quite heard the phrase manifestation strategist. What is that?
Yeah. So I think every human being is born with answers. And the clarity about the compelling experiences you must have are within you. What then happens to people is that for about 18 or 20 years of your life, depending on the geography you are growing up in, but for about 18, 20, 25 years, adults are in charge of your life. And they are telling you what to do and how to do it. Every human being is born innocent, but you are innocent for 1 second. A second after you are born, you become a victim. How are you a victim? Every human being. How are you a victim? You are a victim because you fell into the hands of adults, nurses, doctors, your parents, billboards, comics, cartoons, adverts, chauffeur, domestic assistants, neighbors, teachers. You fell into the hands of adults who are going to pretty much drive your life for the next 18 years. They'll tell you what to do, how to do it, who to do it with. They begin to teach you. Since nobody is self-made, we are all products of influences, right? So you are at the mercy of the weight of their own content. Because if they were fools, you are going to have a high propensity to become a fool. If they were wise, you are going to have a high propensity to become wise. The problem is, it doesn't matter who they are, wise or foolish. You are too young as a kid to audit what they are pouring into you. How much more to resist it? So that makes you a victim, because a victim, a poor person, and a slave are the same. The common denominator is that the three of them have no control over their necessary due human experiences. So when you are a victim, somebody is trying to force something you don't want on you. When you are a slave, somebody tells you what to do, how to do it, when to do it, when not to do it. When you are poor, you really can't have what you want, when you want, how you want it. So poverty, slavery, and the idea of being a victim are all the same thing. The bottom line is that the three have no control over their necessary due human experiences. So in that state where you can't control what you are learning and what you are mastering, right? You are a victim. You are poor. And I say it every time. Some people are so poor, all they have is money. It doesn't, poverty is not the lack of money, right? So once, even if you drive a Lamborghini, you live in a skyscraper by the beach in Miami, if you have no control over your necessary due human experiences, you are poor. You are a slave. You are a victim of some sort, right? So in that state, you lose yourself because for that 18 years, the adults begin to teach you your preferences. And from your preferences, you develop your prejudices. And it is in that prejudice state that you define your personality. So when people ask you, who are you? There is a 90% chance that you will live 80 years without answering that question. The question you really answer is who you have become. Because the last time you were yourself was a second after you were born. And by the time you became an adult, you never met yourself. You met what people have made of you. So we know who we have become. We really know who we are. Right? And when we define who we define ourselves by our known history. There's so much data programmed into you that you are not aware of, that you've never released, and what you have been defined by is the experiences that you've had and what they've shaped you into. A lot of times that is against the highest power that God put inside of you as a human being. So true freedom is the ability to recognize that and to insist that your life will go, on that path. So I say that every human being on the face of the earth is enslaved to something. True freedom is the ability to choose what enslaves you. Now, if you can't make that choice, you can't manifest at the highest level. So this transcends the limits of success. You can have a lot of money in the bank and be living, a suboptimal, low resolution version of yourself, right? Just like you see an image, the image can have a high resolution, can have a low resolution. It's a beautiful image. If you don't know the high resolution, you can be happy with a low resolution. You won't call it a low resolution because you don't know anything else. So people live a very low resolution of themselves, and they are not aware because society has also raised a standard that says if you drive 2 German cars or 2 British cars or 2 American cars, you live by the beach somewhere, you fly business class or you have a private jet, you are okay. You have everything. That's you. But true success is not what you do. Even if you're a billionaire, true success is what you've done compared to what you could have done. True success is what you have achieved compared to what you could have achieved. True success is what you've done compared to the true value of your potential. So if you do well and become the president of Zambia, everybody says you are awesome, president of Zambia. You are known, you are influential, you are rich. And that's it. You die at 74, ex-president of Zambia. But maybe by your true potential, you should have moved on from president of Zambia to be AU chairman, moved on to be UN Secretary General, put a Nobel Prize on it. Who knows? But if you don't ever be all of that, nobody's going to complain. Nobody's going to have a problem with that. Depending on the education of your soul, you may not have any problem with that as well until it's time to take the flight out of the world. I think every human being will experience what I call the weight of omissions. We define our lives by commissions, the things we do. But there's an omission. Omissions are the things you are born to do that you never did. And I don't think any human spirit will escape that. I think at some point in your life, 70s, 80s, 60s, somewhere, omission will visit you. And that is where people have a lot of crisis because omission is ferocious and it just continues to remind you of all that you have not done, regardless of all that you have done.
So, just purely based off what you were saying, and one of the things that my myself and other people that are around me have struggled with is how to either identify what it is that you were born to do, what your true purpose, mission, vision is.
Your calling.
Your calling, right? Because at times what you enjoy doing might not necessarily be what your calling is.
Yes.
So how are you able to?
Yes. So I try not to, because there are so many ways you can speak to that. But not everybody will have some therapist or some coach or some professional helping them out. So I try to give very simple, answers that anyone, anywhere can apply. Mm-hmm. Just in case you don't ever meet a PK or you don't ever get to speak to some professional or some therapist. How do you navigate your life? And this is what I tell people, first of all, you have to understand that the future in itself is an entity. Now that's difficult for so many people to accept because we trust tangibility. We are not comfortable with intangibility. If we can't touch, feel, we struggle. Mm-hmm. But I say to people that you are not making your life. Your life is making you. You are not, nobody has been in the future before, right? Think about it. When you say good morning to somebody, you are experiencing the morning. You are in the morning, right? You know it's the morning. You are not hoping you are in the morning. You are not believing. You can't believe what you know, right? You can't believe what you know. You can only believe what you don't know, right? I mean, I'm not believing that I'm talking to you right now. I know I'm talking to you. Mm-hmm. The moment I am believing that I'm talking to you, there has to be something unclear about who is here.
Is that why they say you believe in God?
Yeah, because you can't believe in God if you know God. Because you can't believe in what you know. And that is my problem with atheists and people who struggle with the concept of agnostics. The transcendent agnostics, because I say that you want to know, once you take out doubt, there's no path to belief. I tell Christians too, you can't hate doubt. Doubt is the legitimacy. It's your only chance for arriving at belief. You can't believe anything if you can't have doubt. So doubt will always be in your head. Belief is in your heart. And it's like wisdom. There's no classification for wisdom if there's no foolishness. Somebody has to be foolish for wisdom to continue to have value. Correct. Right? Everybody can be wise. If everybody is wise and wisdom becomes common and foolishness is rare, the world's reward system will be to reward foolishness because
everybody's wise.
Everybody's wise, right? What determines value is rarity. Rarity is the idea of value. So if something is common, it drops in value immediately. Once wisdom becomes common and foolishness is very rare, then the method of rewarding the universe will shift. You'll be paid for destruction, for stupidity, for lewdness, for unguardedness. You'll be paid for all of this because that is the path of foolishness. Yeah? So in the same way, you can't believe what you know. Now, the moment you understand that, there's a humility that has to evolve out of you in how you lead life, because you understand that there's more unknown than known. And that is the essence of faith. You journey the world, right, with faith, So the future, therefore, is not known in the way that we pretend that it is known. Like the afternoon, everywhere is hot. You are in the afternoon. You are in the evening because it's cool. You are in the evening. Will you ever have the misfortune of saying good future to somebody and say, oh, good future, we're in the future? You would never do that.
We live in the present, yeah.
Today was once a future. Yesterday was once a future. But every time we get there, we don't say, oh, we're in the future. Wow, what a future. We say it's today. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't think that any human being can create a future, which is what we are made to believe. I think the future creates us, right? I think because we don't know anything there. So there's so much data available there. And so on a daily basis, we are being fed with data we have never experienced. And that is why people dream, right? I say to people that you don't dream, dreams find you. So I believe so much in the transcendent. I believe in God, first off. And so I tell people that you have to accept your journey, honor your story, but trust the future. You have to trust the future. And the way to trust the future is to take responsibility for anything that comes your way, right? You don't need a prophet to tell you about your purpose, really. You don't need, most of these things are overrated on many levels. People who don't know God have become billionaires. People who have never stepped into a church or to a religious institution have become, Socrates lived before Christ. He said so many amazing things, that are still being studied in the universities till today. And he said all of that without the privilege of religion, of,
modern schools
as we know it today, right? So something else that transcends the material has to define the consciousness of your spirit. I don't believe in God because I want a car, I want a house, because I want to live well. If that's what I want, I don't need Jesus for one day. You don't need Jesus to make a lot of money, right? It's science, it's protocol. If you release yourself to the instruments that deliver wealth, you will make money. People are making money all day, right? Everything happening in church are not made by people. The microphone, the keyboard, the suits on the pastor are not made by people who go to church, right? The people who made all of that, the drums, the air conditioner in church, right? Almost everything in church, the social media that you put the website on and all of that are not made by people who go to church, right?
Funny you say that, even Hugo. So you know the history of Hugo Boss?
Yes, I do. So if you think about that, right, you see that, the consciousness of recognizing the life you are living requires, as far as I'm concerned, a submission. And that submission is very simple. Whatever your hands finds to do it like that's all you have to do. And do it like that is the last day that you will ever do anything. I think that if you honor life that way, the future finds you, right? And I say that don't conserve your energy for anything. Don't say, oh, I'm working with you now. Because I'm working with you, I'm going to conserve my network. I'm going to conserve my energy till I start my own thing. When I start my own thing, then I release myself. But no, when I'm with you, working for you, every action I take is a rehearsal for mastery. If I'm not releasing myself, working for you, and I'm conserving my energy, I am perfecting how not to release myself. Every day in not releasing myself. Right. By the time I go on my own, I will be incapable of releasing myself. Because for 15 years of working with you, I've mastered how not to release myself. You see what I'm saying? So you hold every moment the best of yourself. So I say that every moment is your chance to remind the future that you belong there. And your breath is proof there's something higher to conquer. I say stuff like the opposite of, of life is not death, because every human being on the face of the earth will die, wise or foolish. What is the result or the consequence for everybody, regardless of how you live your life? You are going to die. What is guaranteed for everybody cannot be the consequence for not living life. So the opposite of life is purposelessness. That's the opposite of life. It's not death, because even if you are the most purposeful human being, you are still going to die, right? So it's purposelessness. And being purposeful is honoring every minute of your life. And if you give yourself to that, where you supply your best self in any moment, I say to people that whatever happens to you after best effort is the will of God. The will of God should not be complex. Focus on best effort, and by elimination, you arrive at the will of God. And the moment you allow yourself to experience every moment with the best of yourself, I think the universe compensates that. The universe compensates anomalies. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are born into. If you make that the energy that you share every day, whatever your hands finds to do, you do it with all your might, right? It will lead you to where you should be. So prevailing responsibility is the path to future meaning. Prevailing responsibility is the path to future power, is the path to future responsibility. Faithfulness in little brings more. And when you honor all of that, the way God has designed it is that you will find your own. So I just help people to be the best where they are, and the future will come.
A lot of the people watching this right now are entrepreneurs, innovators. From statistics, I think we figured most of the people who watch our podcast are in that category.
Yeah.
And you've spoken about the role of entrepreneurs and innovators in nation building. Speak more about that.
Yeah, entrepreneurs make all the difference in life. I say to people, without entrepreneurs and innovators, there can't be modern life as we know it. Everyday contemporary life is driven by entrepreneurs. I don't know any country that has been transformed by any government. I don't know any country like that.
I agree.
I think countries have been transformed by entrepreneurs and innovators and non-profit, civil society. So the Americans documented that. There's a documentary called The Men Who Built America.
I watched that, yeah.
You know, they didn't say the political party that built America.
Yeah, the John D. Rockefellers.
These are problem solvers. And I say to people, problem solving is an interesting reality. You know, it begins with acknowledging the difference between solving a problem and honoring a fact. You don't solve facts, you solve problem. The moment you confuse the two and you think a problem is a fact or a fact is a problem, then your lunacy begins. Then your struggle and your hustling begins, because facts cannot be solved. You accept a fact, you walk around facts, you solve problems. Most people want to solve a fact and accept a problem. And that is why we struggle. So entrepreneurs make that distinction clear. Entrepreneurs are creating something of such intrinsic value that the future will never find its completion without their creation, right? I'd make a difference between businessmen and entrepreneurs. If you supply chairs to a school, you are a businessman. You are not doing anything new. Once you are an entrepreneur, you are either doing something between 0 to 1. You are creating newness between 0 to 1. Like there's no precedent. Like you created the internet, or you gave us social media, or you gave us, so TikTok is a 1 to infinity newness, because somebody already gave us social media. That's the 0 to 1 guy. The guy who gave us Twitter is not a 0 to 1 guy. He's a 1 to infinity guy. You can create newness either in 0 to 1, giving us something that has never been. And then some guys will come to innovate that and take it from 1 to infinity. Everybody believes China will take over the world, except the Chinese himself, really. And that's my personal opinion. I think the Chinese is burdened by his energy of copying, which it has mastered for years. So China lives comfortably as a master of 1 to infinity, creating something out of what has been created.
Just build upon what's already existing.
And that's great. That's great. But the problem with that is you can be dealing with an infinite low self-esteem as you worry about the 0 to 1 guy. Because the 0 to 1 guy,
the American guy
is the guy who gives you something to work with, right? We can debate that forever. So, but I believe that the soul of society is between the 0 to 1 guy and the 1 to infinity guy. The guys who create newness are the guys who shepherd the soul of society. Any serious government should not be trying to do business. It just needs to continue to work on creating enabling environment and taking taxes, really. And then fine-tuning its ability to punish, right? Those who want to go against those two. I think that's all. Every other thing should be left for entrepreneurs and innovators. And if you go to any poor country, you are going to find some basic things in those environments. Part of that is that the government is too busy doing business, right? And the spirits of the entrepreneurs and the innovators are not liberated and are not engaged. And I think that the non-profits are then there to hold everybody accountable, right? As the soul of society. So they advocate, they struggle, they reject, they rebel, they do all of that. We need that. We need entrepreneurs and we need innovators. So, you will never find me worrying about government, and I don't criticize government. I think it's unnecessary. I consider it labor laws. I don't find it intelligent to worry about certainty. I think it's stupid, for want of a better word. Like, if you're afraid of death, I don't think you need prayers. I think somebody needs to tell you you are not smart. You are not smart. It's unintelligent to be afraid of certainty. Your only response to certainty is preparation and strategy.
Yeah.
Since you will die, if you are afraid of death, you are not going to die less. If you are bold in the face of death, you are not going to die later. You are going to die regardless. There are some things are certain in life. Loss is certain. Pain, disappointment, betrayal, right? These things are certain. You can't be afraid of them. Risk. Some say, oh, I don't like taking risk. I say, really? You don't like taking risk? Are you a dad? Yes. You have a wife? Yes. You have kids? Yes. Really? How long do you hope to stay with these kids as a father? Maybe for the next 50 years. I want to be here with my kids. You want to be here with your kids. Can you prove mathematically that you'll be alive tomorrow morning? Tomorrow morning. You can't prove it. But you give birth to a child, a whole child, and you are hoping to be with that child for 50 years, and you can't prove you'll be alive tomorrow, and you ate risk. What risk is bigger than that? Your life is raw. You take risk every day. You start building a house. You can't prove you'll be alive. You can't even prove you will complete this house.
Or
but
to
you start
live in
building,
it.
or to live in it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you build it anyway. You live in risk, right? So I think that the best thinkers in society must invent the type of thoughts that allow entrepreneurs to recognize their God-given responsibility, their God-given mission to society, not just people trying to make money. Entrepreneurs are shepherds. They are the life of the future. They are the saviors. And any society that doesn't respect that doesn't honor that and give room, the most important people in America are not politicians. The politicians know that. They honor the entrepreneur. They honor the innovator. They create room for the innovator. In America,
we worship politicians.
We worship politicians, and that's why we don't get anywhere. We should honor the saviors of society, and that is the entrepreneur. The innovator creates, the entrepreneur distributes, the non-profit advocate. That partnership is genius for any first world country. Go check it. And that partnership is missing in any so-called third world country. Go check it, right? And that's how we have to get smarter. Young people have to realize that your real strength to negotiate reality is your capacity to multiply value. And that is what happens when you function as an entrepreneur. And that doesn't mean you are selling some shoe or a shirt, or it can be, even if you are writing songs, making a poem, do it in such a way that you unlock gratitude in the system and you create legacy, right? If the future can find its meaning because of your creation, even when you are no longer here, that's the guy. Those are the guys we need in society. And I think God is fair. In every society, He has placed thousands and millions of those people there to elevate the experience of the people within that geography. That's my belief.
Do you believe, or do you think that Africa is obsessed with motivation, but they are allergic to implementation?
Yeah, I think that there are 4 dimensions to domination, to winning at the highest level. And it is the why, understanding the why of a thing, understanding the what of a thing. What do we need to do? Why do we need to do it? How do we do it? And then what is next after we do it? So the character of transformation is what, why, how, and what next. So some countries live, and some people, some families, some individuals, and some businesses live only in what? Only in what? What is the energy for creating action? It doesn't do more than that. Why is the energy of motivation? Why you do what you do? That is the energy of motivation. How is the energy of innovation and execution? What next is the energy of domination? And America and the countries we honor and we respect, they don't live in what, why, and how are a means to always arriving at what next. Mm-hmm. Their natural environment default is what next. As you live in that track, if you stay in what, you can have something. If you stay in what and why, you will have something even more than the guy who is in what. When you go to church every day, not every church, there are churches that offer. Part of my association with Bishop Bruce is because of the promise of what is going on in that place. I think that they are maximally focused on taking people through what I call the journey of transformation, right? But for most people, what people get, even when they go to church every Sunday, they go to any religious institution, is why. But why doesn't transform? Why gives you acknowledgement of your state, right? So you can have inspiration. It doesn't mean you have transformation, right? And the goal of knowledge is not recall. The goal of knowledge is transformation, right? Knowledge is not to test what you know. It's to manifest what you know. So what why does is that it gives you a sensation of victory. It doesn't give you the experience of victory, right?
Just the feeling.
Exactly. Knowledge is a convertible note. If you give me a fragrance now, say a Gucci perfume, once I put it on me, before I step out, somebody says you smell nice. Instant value.
You do smell good, by the way.
Thank you, sir. You get instant value. You eat food. You feel it. You are not hoping you've eaten. You can feel it. Instant value. You sit in a nice car. People are looking at you. You are getting the value. But if you sit on this podcast and you watch this podcast, even if you bring 10 PKs here, you bring the wisest people in the world on this podcast, and you listen and you take all the notes, you don't step out and somebody says, wow,
you've got knowledge.
Oh, knowledge on you. Nothing shows. You are just the same. Why? Because you need to go convert that into a visible, recognizable, usable, and transferable format. For you to arrive at rewardability, you must go through the test of visibility, the test of recognizability. Just because I can see you doesn't mean I recognize your value. So I need to be able to see you. It doesn't matter what you do, and I tell entrepreneurs anywhere in the world, no matter what you do, are they seeing you in America? Does the British guy see you? It doesn't matter where you are. The blessing of technology is the opportunity to be seen by anybody, anywhere in the world, no matter where you are. So you can be in Lusaka or Lagos, or you can be in Nairobi. It doesn't matter. The guys in Johannesburg, the guys in Sao Paulo, New York, London can see you where you are. But it's not just to see you. That's the test of visibility. Can they see you and recognize your value, the promise you bring? Can they see you and know what you are about instantly, in less than a second? Because wealth is about solving problems, how many people you're solving it for, and the speed
at which
you're doing it. Because we miss that part. You have to worry about the speed. And the goal of technology with borderless reality is to increase the speed of conversion, right? So the test of visibility, the test of recognizability will produce usability. The moment I can see you I can understand what you promise, then I can engage you, right? Usability comes in. Once usability comes in, the next thing is transferability. Can your ideas move in the world? The reason why Ishima, will struggle is because he is not in a format that he can move in the world without perishing, right? The reason why Fufu will struggle is because he can't move at a level. Once he's moving, he can't even get to Zimbabwe without losing taste, right? So transferability is so important. And once you can move ideas around the world, right, the next guaranteed experience is rewardability. When people tell me they don't have money, that's the simple test I take them through to manifest. How can we see you? If we see you, can we recognize your promise? If you can recognize it, can we use it therefore? If we can use it, can we transfer it in the world? If yes, money is going to happen to you, right? So that is how I view anything. I don't think that there's any human being on the face of the earth that does not have the capacity to birth newness. I think newness is always within reach. What we don't have, however, is clarity. But because you can know what you are not clear about. Just because you know it doesn't mean you are clear about it. The proof of clarity is action. The moment you are clear, the reason why we don't eat sand is because we are all clear. If you eat sand, you're going to die, right? We behave the same way when we have the same clarity. We behave differently when we have different levels of clarity, right? But the proof of clarity is action, is momentum. Once you are clear, you move. When you know something that you don't do, you don't know it as you really think you do. You don't know it. The proof that you know something is action. Once you know, you act, right? So people need more clarity, but motivation cannot deliver that. So I agree across Africa, not just in Africa, anywhere in the world, the bottom of the triangle is filled with people who don't have their why in place or people who are romancing their why, which is what motivation is. So once you indulge in your why and you are not elevating to how and what next, right? You are going to be at the bottom of that triangle.
What's a good why?
Right. So I don't think there is a particular definition of what a good why will be. The why for Adolf Hitler is different from that of Socrates, right? So I think your why should be that which you will not live for a second without. That which I would rather not be than be anything else, even for a minute. Right? And I don't know what that is. That is different for different people.
Person,
right?
Yeah.
So, because principles are universal. So the idea of having a why and being clear about your why is a principle. But experiences are peculiar. And so even as we teach, we have to be guided not to recommend the peculiarity of experiences to people as a principle, right? So the principle is that everybody needs a why. It doesn't matter what you are trying to do, whether you are trying to destroy the world or you are trying to fix it, whether you are trying to rob a bank or you are trying to build one. The same skill that you need to rob a bank successfully is the same clear intelligence you need to build one. It takes a lot to be a successful criminal. You need planning, you need goal setting, scenario management,
teams.
You need teams, you need teamwork, you need visioning, you need scenario planning, you need everything. Everything you need. It takes a lot of skills. That is why I say skills have their nuisance value. Intelligence is not wisdom. You can be very intelligent and not be wise, right? The proof of wisdom is life, right? It takes intelligence can rob a bank. Intelligence can rape your wife. Anything you do to architect next level, and do it successfully, intelligence can do that, right? But wisdom cannot create anything negative. Intelligence can blow 9/11. Intelligence it takes a lot of intelligence to be Bin Laden and to hide from the CIA for 10 years. That's super intelligence, right? So the world is filled with so many intelligent people, but wisdom remains very rare.
Based off, firstly, it is very difficult to take all this in.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to have to watch this episode a couple of times over and over again, because there's just so many things that you're saying that at times you catch it then, at times it takes you a second to say, oh, wait, what he said 5 minutes ago was this. But going back to Africa, being obsessed with motivation is a lot of what you just said in your response to that. I have felt like the leaders in Africa, especially what they are talking about now, they sound like stuff that is from 20 years ago, right? It's almost felt like it's just a popularity contest more than leaders actually offering solutions. And I've seen that, especially in Africa.
Right.
I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I think you are even being modest by saying 20 years. A lot of what is being said out there are over a century old. The production is very interesting. Africa produces what it does not consume, and it consumes what it does not produce. I don't know any economy in the world that can survive on that equation. For years, our begging bowls has been our critical asset, receiving aid and support from all over the world, forgetting that favor is not free. For every degree of favor that you seek, you lose a level of freedom. Even if you can't see the freedom you are losing, there's an alternative for gone every time you receive favor. At any level, favor is not free. Somebody told me, but the gospel is free. I said, no. The curriculum in the gospel is that Jesus paid the price. Just because something was made available for free doesn't mean it's not expensive, right? Every time you articulate the possibility for being favored, you must also be responsible enough to search for what you are going to trade for that favor, right? And I think the challenge with Africa is the mass illiteracy of its people. And when I say illiteracy, please, I don't mean the absence of the classroom in people's lives. Because part of what actually happened to Africa is that our education was taken and it was replaced with the classroom. And because Africa, we don't learn in the classroom. We learn through observation and apprenticeship. That is our form of education, right? We went into the classroom. The classroom is an interesting space, and we can talk about that forever. There's a lot of similarity between the classroom and the penitentiary and the prisons. They wear uniforms. They are all termed. They have a curriculum. On so many levels, the more academics you acquire, the more you compromise your authenticity, right? The more school, the more time you spend in the classroom, the more of your originality you compromise, because somebody created that curriculum to produce a type of person. People tell me we need this certification. I respect that. Maybe we should. But I say that the first person to certify people, who certified him? The first guy that said, this is life coaching. Who certified him for him to be able to say, this is life coaching?
This is the standard.
This is the standard. So that's my problem with best practice. That's my problem with, anyway. So, so you got something 0 to 1. You branded it. Then you brought it out to us and say, start from here. No. You are asking me to pretend that I'm not aware that you got this 0 to 1. You are not the standard. Where you got it from is the standard.
Yeah.
And nobody owns that. That is the freedom of the human spirit. That's where I want to be. So as you learn in class, a rebellion must live inside of you that audits everything, right? You are not just taking everything in. That rebellion, I call it creative rebellion. It is that element that is free to relate with anything, but is responsible enough to question everything, such that whatever it will sit inside of you and rent a space in your head must pass through a protocol, right? And I think that type of education, like the one I defined earlier, is missing across Africa, right? And so we can't audit. I don't think Africa has a leadership problem. I say this very humbly, and people have challenged me a lot for this. I have a parable. I call it the parable of the rotten eggs, right? So you got a basket. You got a basket full of raw eggs. And then every 4 years, you go to the basket to pick 4 eggs to represent the whole basket. And then you break the eggs with a fry pan, and they are all rotten. You are mad, you are angry, you feel very bad. 4 years after, you go to the basket, you pick another 4, you put it on the fry pan, rotten. 4 years after, you are crazy, you are mad, you go back to and for 60 years,
you keep going back to the same
you've
basket.
been going back to that basket to pick 4 eggs to represent the basket.
The problem is not the basket.
Thank you. Maybe the problem is the basket itself. Maybe this basket is a basket of rotten eggs. So it doesn't matter how many we take to represent us. We are going to get rotten eggs. So I said to myself, African leadership is not outsourced. The leadership of Nigeria is not imported. We didn't import the leadership of Zambia or the leadership of Ghana. The leaders of every African country are from the people. If you don't like the leadership, well, that's the kind of people you got. And there's little Africa almost in every African home. You see in every African university, you see an oppressive lecturer, you see an oppressive teacher, you see everything there, and you wonder, so if this guy, let me tell you what's missing. I think it's the consciousness of stewardship versus the consciousness of ownership. This is how that plays out. Every human being, through the force of capitalism, which I have no problem with, but through the force of capitalism, you are trained to define your life by your sense of ownership. How do we know the richest man in the world? By acquisition, by how much he acquires. So here you are trained to define your life by your ownership. So ownership of private property, listen to this. Ownership of private property is the legitimate way of thinking about success. Ownership of private property. So you got a guy who for 40 years, 55 years has practiced ownership of private property. He has become popular, known, grown wealth, grown influence, practicing ownership of private property. And you put this guy in government to come and supply stewardship of public property. This guy has mastered ownership of properties. Now you want him to supply stewardship of properties. It's not going to work.
No.
What we need actually that is missing, not just in Africa, but everywhere you find this disequilibrium, is stewardship of private property. Stewardship of that which is seemingly yours. When you are a steward, when you have a steward mentality about what is seemingly yours, it means for the next 40 years, you have properties, but you have mastered stewardship of it. It is easy to elevate you to stewardship of public property. So only stewardship of private property can lead you to stewardship of public property. If you have mastered, they say, oh, we need businessmen in government. How do you think so? Businessman has mastered ownership all his life.
Yep.
He's still going to get there and start thinking business. He's not going to think about stewardship. That's what's going to happen, right? So I believe very strongly that our curriculums has to change from how we define how to go to school. I mean, in the United States, when you graduate from, I live in the US, by the way. So when you graduate from high school, it is celebrated like you are done with school, because that curriculum from elementary school to middle school to high school is so packed with so much knowledge that by the time you are done, it is your choice to then go to the university. You don't need it. If you want to make money, this education is enough. If you want to be popular, you want to be known, you want to do whatever you want to do, this is enough. Now, if you need extra, now we are going to charge you for that. So you get to school free to that point. The moment you need more than that, the system said you're going to pay for that, because that is not a need, it's a want. That is what you have chosen to do, right? And I think that, so if you want to win an election in the United States, you have to make sense to the masses because they are clear about what they want. The average American understands jobs, you understand veterans, you understand security, you understand, GDP, per capita income. My son at 13 understands this, right? So if we don't take a second look about how we grow and understand what we really need, it's like when I hear people talk about Pan-Africanism, I'm like, what is Pan-Africanism? You want to do what? Preserve what is African? That's not pan anything. I think pan-Europe gave us suits and tea and all the things that we do, gave us salad, gave us pizza, gave us pan Italian, gave us macaroni, spaghetti, and the whole world is eating it, right? Pan America has given us so much Hollywood, movies, and all of that. Social media, and so much. Pan-African for me is not about preserving what is Africa. Maybe you should do that. But Pan-African is understanding what is African and branding it and distributing it in such a way that people across the world are buying it. So we need to take KK in Ghana and get a Caucasian, get the Americans eating KK. That is when it's Pan-African. Pan-African is not about preserving what is African. It's not about rejecting what is foreign, rejecting what is Western. You have to take everything in the world. There's no problem with that. There's no problem with taking what is European. There's no problem in preserving what is African. The problem is not putting what is African out there. So not putting what is African into Europe, into America, into Asia, into Australia. That is what we have to do. And we can't do that if we continue to adore politicians and disrespect entrepreneurs and innovators and non-profits. I think that is how we are going to grow. We need that type of education. I don't respect thinkers in Africa who discount that, who point us to voting, to elections. And I'm saying, really, what is elections? How do you vote? Voting is the arrest of options, as far as I'm concerned. It's not a testimony. Let me leave you too.
No, carry on. Go ahead. I was just agreeing with you because Kaling and I have always said that over and over again. And as you carry on, one of the points that I wanted to bring in as what I think Pan-Africanism is Ubuntu.
Yes.
That's what comes to mind almost immediately.
And I agree with that. I just can't identify with anything that doesn't have that value to transform our economics. I find it very difficult to accept any ideology, to accept any philosophy, to accept any type of thinking that does not elevate our economics, right? Because if you don't have money in this world, you are a slave. And I say that responsibly. I don't think Africa needs a big military. I don't think we need great armies. I think we just need a working. Some of the biggest economics, some of the most amazing economics in the world don't have big militaries. Some don't even have at all. Switzerland.
I was about to say the same thing.
So we need to stop fighting and start collaborating and understand that, look, I'm not contending your powers with you. Switzerland is existing at the mercy of the United States, right? At the mercy of the powers that be. Switzerland is a permitted force. Singapore is a permitted force. Nations, whether we like it or not, and this is very difficult, this is going to be very difficult for so many people, but I want to say that we lost. Listen, we lost. We fought an intangible war for many years, and black lost. Whichever way you want to call that, call it slavery, call it colonialism. How did you become the slave though? I mean, how did you become, and people are going to punch me for this, but how were you colonized? Why are you not the colonizer? Why are you not the slave master? Assuming that means anything, assuming that is important at all. Why are you the victim? Did you resist? Yes. Did your resistance win? No. So what happened? You lost. Now, your mentality should be because nobody's going to give you anything. In this life, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate, and what you negotiate intentionally. In fact, I say that expectations are not deserved. It's an entitlement mentality, except you are responsible as the sole architect of the realization of that expectation. Otherwise, you are trying to superimpose your preference on everybody just because you have the freedom to desire. You're not going to get anything just because you can desire it. You are going to get stuff because you can organize. We can think, right? And I think that Africa has a lot of things intangibly. In 2025, natural resources are a disadvantage. We've not woken up to that. A massive disadvantage. We now know that nations don't prosper because of natural resources.
DRC.
They prosper because of finished goods. Nigeria, Ghana, we can go on and on, right? So natural resources make you the factory and the warehouse of the world. It's simple. You have gold. I don't care what gold you have. I take your gold. I pay for it. I pay you $10 for your gold. I take your gold out. I make it into expensive bangles. I come back to sell it to you at $100. How are you making money? I give you cocoa. You give me cocoa. You use $10 to plant your cocoa. You use $10 to cultivate it. Another $10 to harvest it. Then you sold it to me at $50. You've made a profit of $20 because you spent $30 making it available. I pay you $50 for your cocoa. You start rejoicing. You change your son's school. You buy a new car from your $20. I go back and bring expensive chocolates back to you. And I'm selling the chocolate for you at $60. First of all, you already spent the $50 I gave you. You don't have all that money anymore. By the time you start buying my chocolates, you are in deficit, right? So what I'm giving you is a temporary idea of freedom. I'm allowing you to feel you are part of the equation. So you feel excited that you've gotten something. I'm coming back to take everything I give you through finished goods. Finished goods. So really, you don't have anything. Every time you sell and every time you make money, you have been given a temporary consolation to make you feel you are part of the equation of production. Really, you are just a factory. You are not different from the warehouse that we store in raw materials, right? That is what you are. If you want more importance than that, you have to begin to take seriously the idea that you can create, you can produce, you can distribute. Africa is a big market. The richest black man in the whole world
It's from Nigeria.
is from Nigeria. His name is Aliko Dangote. He doesn't sell to Europe. He doesn't sell to America. He sells in Africa. It's 1 billion people ready to buy something. It's a massive market, right? So I think everything is available here. Incredible intelligence. Some of the most intelligent people I've met are here in Africa. And I've traveled. I've gone around the world. You know, I don't believe that we have an American problem. I think it's convenient to say that. I don't think we have a British problem. I don't think we have a Western problem. I think it's convenient to say all of that and keep pointing fingers to everybody, except that we're not taking responsibility. I think it's convenient. I think that people have a right to choose who they want to be. I say that the world has the right to see the next second without you in it. Is their right. Right?
Of course.
The world has a right. There are many rights in the world that the UN did not capture. Foolishness is a human right. Stupidity is a human right. There are so many human rights in this world, right? So the UN just decided to name the ones that work for the charter that they want to create. The truth is you cannot live your life hoping in a third party's understanding of his own sense of mission. Meaning that if you don't think straight, I can't find my meaning. that means I've delegated my peace to your sense of recognition. That if you choose to come to terms with the value I represent, I will never have value. I don't think that's smart. Right? I don't think so.
And then, half the time we say Africa with all its resources is still poor because of corruption. But then you argue that governments should actually not be fighting corruption.
I actually think is silly
To fight corruption.
to fight corruption. I don't think there's any corruption-free society. There is an illusion of corruption-free societies. But the world has received enough experiences, data, showing us that there's corruption everywhere. I mean, there's a prison in every country. That means there are criminals there. There are judges in every country. There are police officers in every country. That means there are criminals there.
Yeah.
So you don't worry. Like, once somebody is campaigning and is telling me he's coming to fight corruption, I know he's either not serious or he's running the script. Right? So corruption is like poverty. You cannot eliminate poverty because poverty is not happening systemically. That's secondary. Poverty is happening primarily by human will and human wretchedness, right? Somebody somewhere will prioritize something unnecessary that would lead him to his own poverty. You are the governor of your own journey. You can't do everything right and not find some form of power in your life. You are going to make that choice, right? And so how do you legislate poverty? So when I hear big words like poverty eradication, I say, this is the proof that they want to fool us because you can't eradicate poverty. Even Jesus said the poor you will always
have the poor among us, yeah.
If there's really no poor or the possibility of it, what would be the classification for success? True. What would be the classification for wealth? If everybody is rich, do you think you are going to value wealth? Everybody will be working hard to be poor if everybody becomes rich. So what is the classification for that? When I hear end rape, I'm like, end rape? Really? You are going to end rape? You are going to govern a man's nuisance? You see, so in Malaysia, if you traffic cocaine and you are caught, you are dead.
China.
In China, you're dead. But people still do it. Because I always tell people, a poor person dies twice. When he finally stops breathing, that's second death.
That's second death, yeah.
Now you are threatening him that I will kill you if you bring this in here. He will say to himself, when you didn't kill me, what am I? I'm already dead.
I've got
If
nothing.
I move for it and I escape, I get something. If I move for it and you get me and you kill me,
I've been dead.
I've been dead already. So you can as well do the obvious. So you can't threaten people and regulate society with consequences in that sense. We need something much more deeper than that. And I say to people, so if somebody want to fight corruption at all, and I'm going to listen to the person, I would say, just do one thing. Create a central database for everybody in your country with their fingerprint. That's all I need you to do. Once you do that, I think corruption is regulated. Because if somebody walks in here, shoots everybody, sits down, take the pizza, take all the food, eat everything, and walk out. Once he makes it out of this environment, it's gone. Even if you find saliva here, you find blood here, what do you do with it?
Nothing.
What do you do with it?
If you don't have a central
If you don't have a central database that has everybody.
Yeah.
So you are the most unserious entity. If you are telling me you want to fight corruption and you are not making any plan for that, I know you are trying to fool me. I know you are trying to give me an illusion of seriousness and you are trying to lock me into a script that you have written. You can't fight corruption if you're not going to have that as how do people have 3 bank accounts? Just because there's still no central database.
Absolutely.
Do you know how much crime you eliminate just because of that? And the countries who don't say they are fighting corruption, what do they have? That's what they have. That's what they have in America. That's what they have in Britain. That's what they have in all these countries, right? So I don't think anybody serious should be trying to fight corruption because I think it's trying to fight nature. Human beings have the freedom to decide whatever direction they want to go. In a land with laws, in a land with legislation, what you need is system. The system you need is to put everybody on a single database such that we can trace whoever is misbehaving to that database. And somebody went to Italy, raped somebody, and escaped to America. And they got the person he raped, he killed the person, raped the person. And they took they just caught a little semen that dropped somewhere on the lady, just a semen. From that semen, because of a central database, they erected the picture of this guy and knocked his door. You are under arrest. It doesn't need to be there. Just the semen, just your saliva dropping here
Was enough.
Pick it up.
but it's enough.
Is it any better in Nigeria? Because here, people broke into my car once, remember? Into my house. You know what the cops did when they came and they found fingerprints all over my window at home? Remember the time they stole my TV? I
Did
think I
they
told you
lift
about
the
that.
fingerprints?
Lift for fingerprints. They came with a camera, took photos of the fingerprints, and they left. Photos of the fingerprints. And I was asking the guy, I was like, so what are you going to do with those fingerprints that you've taken photos of? And he says, we're going to compare them with suspects. How? The whole of the soccer right now, to me, everyone walking the street is a suspect.
I mean,
So you're going to compare with everyone.
I want to add on something to what he just said. There's a Zambian businessman based in America as well. I was having a conversation with him. His name is Donovan Gray. He has a system that he developed. He put the system in a European country, in one African country, and we were trying to get this into Zimbabwe. He tells me a story of a lady that went to stay at a hotel, did not pay her bill, managed to leave the hotel. As she got to the airport, the security detained her and said, were you at such and such a hotel? Yes, you didn't pay your bill. At the airport.
systems.
So,
Donovan, if you're watching, I know you know this story. So it's incredible.
is it better in Nigeria though?
I wouldn't say so. In Nigeria, I doubt.
No fingerprint database, no DNA database.
We have the potential for it because we've collected a lot of data. We have a national ID system. We have a national voting ID system. We have BVN with our bank accounts. We have everything. The only thing that is remaining is the will to put it all together because everything is available, but the will to do it, right? But my point is nations don't prosper because of the absence of corruption. Just in the same way that you don't create good because of the absence of evil. Without evil, there's no characterization for evil. Nations prosper because they evolve a system and a structure that is able to achieve its goals in spite of the will of the corrupt to remain corrupt. You are not going to worry about people's choices to be corrupt. You are free to be corrupt, but we are waiting for you. It's just like freedom of movement. You are free. But if I live in Texas and you don't remind yourself that there is trespass and you choose to come into my house without my permission, I will shoot you. It's as simple as that. Now, you have the freedom of movement, but you must remind yourself that freedom without rules is a vice. Once you don't do that, somebody's going to get you out of the way. Yeah. So you have the right to talk. There's freedom of speech, but there's libel.
But you don't, the consequences after
the speech.
Yeah.
So that is what I think is most important. And I don't think that should come from, it's like, how did Mother Teresa put it? Like, I'll paraphrase it. Why make anti-war conferences?
Instead of having a peace conference.
Peace conference. Why don't you just have peace conference and stop emphasizing anti-war? You are still talking about war. Let's talk about peace. So let's talk about prosperity, right? Build a prosperous society. When you are done building one, people will still be corrupt. Like
there'll still be poverty.
There'll still be poverty, but we have a prosperous society. Now, that's like top performance. When companies say this is a top performer, it performs poorly. It's like saying a wise person. A wise person is not somebody who doesn't act foolish. A wise person is somebody with a reputation for wisdom in spite of his occasional foolishness. So a wise person acts wise most of the time. He acts foolish occasionally. So we call him a wise person because his track record of acting wise made us call him a wise man. A foolish person also acts wise. It's just that he acts foolish most of the time and he acts wise occasionally. So we label him a foolish person.
Yeah.
Not because he doesn't act wise, but he has a reputation for wisdom.
Foolishness. Yeah.
For foolishness. A top performer is not somebody who doesn't have flaws. He's somebody who performs most of the time, right? And he's flawed a few times. So his total notable success over total notable flaws. You just don't focus on the flaws or focus on the success. So in the same way, a corrupt society is a constant. And like I said, the only response to certainty is preparation and strategy. There's nothing else. There's no other way. People will choose to be corrupt. In America, so you know what an African will do, some Africans will do, to get an American passport. But if only they know that in the Americans, born in America, white guy, he has this American passport and he's begging on the road. There are beggars in America and the guy is begging. And I tell guys, see this guy begging? He has an American passport. He's an American citizen. He has the American dream on him. He has everything. You will do anything to have access to. This guy has it naturally and he's still begging. So it's not the geography, right? It's not the passport. It's not all of that. It's the wealth in his soul. If that wealth is not there, this guy is not going to make anything out of it. So in the same way, it's not human beings we worry about. We build systems. If you take all the laws, if you take all Africans to the United States, and you take all Americans to Africa. Most people think that, give them 20 years. But if you do that and you keep all those laws, that Africa will turn to America and America will turn to Africa. And I say, not necessarily. The people in America are not necessarily behaving the way they are, because order is a created quantity. It's not natural. People are not naturally orderly. So consequences, laws, legislation is what allows people to regulate. The same people who cannot queue when they are home in Africa, when they get to the United States, they queue and they do that joyfully and happily because it's a stupid question I asked myself one time. Why am I never pressed in America to pee? Why am I not pressed on the highways? Why don't I just get pressed and park and come down and wee somewhere by the roadside? Why don't I feel this pressure in America? Why is it that when I'm back home in Africa, or when I'm back home, that's when I feel pressed, and then I'm feeling like I should just stop somewhere, and I say, no, I can't do that. The reason why it doesn't occur to me there is because you know there are consequences. If you do, your brain, every part of your body has received that instruction.
And you hold it.
And they hold everything regulates.
You get arrested for peeing by the side of the road.
Yeah, that's it. It's probably going to just a
Thanks for telling me that before I go to America.
Just a quick question based off something that you just said. I remember watching something by Warren Buffett, and he had been asked some of the things that he felt attributed to the success that he has. So a lot of it obviously is the knowledge that he acquired of knowing what stock to buy, when to dump it, etc. But one of the things that he said is some things I did not have control over. Number one, I was born a male. Number two, I was born white. Number three, I was born the time that I was born.
And
number four, born in America.
Yeah.
So based off what you just said, where you would have a white guy born in America, but still begging, don't you think that also your geography sort of counts to the success that you might end up having?
Oh, it does. But that is because that America that is grateful for is a system. That's the point. It's not just the geography, it's the system and how you can take advantage of that system. The system is available. it doesn't mean it's going to produce for you. Right? There are more Americans in prison in America than any national. Right? So, even if you think by percentages and you say you want to look at the percentage of Nigerians in America versus the percentage of Americans in America, I mean, natural born Americans, so let's even say Caucasians. By the time you do that, you still realize that the percentage of Nigerians in prison is still lesser than the percentage of Americans in prison. Why? Because they are the majority there. The percentage will always, favor that demography. Is what I mean. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that it is the gift of the geography that produces the excellence. The Americans have mastered how to put the best Americans in front and the worst Americans at the back, if there's anything like that. In most third world environments, so-called third world environments, the worst of us are in front. We've mastered that. And the best of us are behind. Right? So there are some basic things that societies lack. That once it's not there, if nobody is holding the society accountable to that, there will be crisis. Right? And that is the jungle. What is the difference between the jungle and the modern society? The difference are basic. In the jungle, for example, there's no savings. There are no warehouses, there are no freezers, and there are no banks. You get any value, you have to consume it immediately because it's perishable. In modern society, savings. You can take from the future, spend it now. You can take from today and put it in the future. Once you can't do that, you are in the jungle. You should add an animal's name to your name because you share methodologies with the jungle. A society that does not save is a primitive society. That's a jungle. A society that has no merit. Once there's no standard there's no meritocracy in that society. It doesn't matter how hardworking you are. If a lion comes into the room and you have worked hard it will collect the lion, it will take the deer, and it will take you that has the deer. It's stronger. That is why it is primitive. A society that has no order, the accurate arrangement of things. That's what is missing in the jungle. So a society that has no respect for life. When a lion sees a human being in the jungle, it's going to eat the human being. It's not wickedness. It's design, right? That's why it's the jungle. If you are in a modern society and there's no respect for life, it is a jungle. So really, a lot of societies are jungles because they fulfill the same experiences that makes the jungle a jungle, that makes it a jungle for the tiger, for the lion. Those things are in modern societies. No respect for life, no respect for order, no respect for merit, no respect for savings. So once these things are missing, we have modern structures, but we are still a jungle. We have bridges, we have skyscrapers, we have cars, but at the core of that, the essence of the human experience in that society is still terribly primitive, not different at all from the jungle, right? So, and I think that those are the type of questions we have to. I put an article out on LinkedIn some weeks ago, and I said that life is as good as the questions we ask. It's just the questions we ask, the type of questions we ask, right? I was telling my assistant just yesterday that in Nigeria we criticize politicians a lot. Do you know anyone that criticizes governors in Nigeria, governors of states? No. Everybody criticizes the president. Like, what can a president do?
Well, the governor is like a mini president for the state.
The governor and the chairman of the local government, maybe the mayors, I don't know what they are called here, they are the ones with the highest potential to bring the dividends of democracy to the people, correct, not the president. So all the money, but nobody, I listed names, all these social critics who have criticized our country for years. How many of them give me an article where they were criticizing a governor for his economic policies? For a governor, or no.
California at some point.
Do you understand? Now, when you go back to the United States, you know why it was easy for President Trump to say Canada should become a state? because the economy of Texas is bigger than the economy of Canada. Just Texas. It might not be easy for Donald Trump to see, because just a state in his own environment is bigger than the economy of the economy. I think the economy of maybe the island in Nigeria, Lagos Island, probably bigger than the economy of Ghana. As at my last check.
Okay.
If Lagos was a country, it would be the 7th largest economy in Africa, as at my last check. Right? So when you start thinking about, if you think beyond borders and start focusing more on value, right, we'll realize how much control we really have. People go to Dubai. People say, I'm going to get a Dubai visa. But there's no such thing as a Dubai visa.
It's the UAE.
It's the UAE. But the way that geography has been branded, people think that they are traveling to Dubai as a country. Yeah. Meanwhile, it's just a region within a country. It's all about storytelling. It's all about what we are seeing, what we are interpreting, what we are documenting, for the most part. I'm one of those people that really believe that change is always within reach. I really think that there's a lot that we can do. I think there's a lot that we can create. We just need to start asking the right questions.
How long have we been running?
Long enough. An hour 40. It's been a great episode.
One other thing. Oh man, I can keep going all day. You've worked at Microsoft and Coca-Cola. We have worked with Coca-Cola too, right?
Yes.
Those are massive brands.
Massive.
What are some of the things that you feel local brands can learn even better and learn about brand strategy?
Yeah, I think that, anybody, anywhere must understand that everything we call advertisement, everything we call PR are all scripted and accepted synonyms for propaganda, right? And there's no ad out there. I mean, you see a beverage advertising that you drink Milo, Nestle's Milo, and you won the race. You're not winning any race by drinking 1 billion cans of Milo, but it's auto-suggestion.
Yeah.
They are renting a space in your pocket and in your head that when you get to the buying location, you're going to think of Milo. It's deliberate. So people tell stories intentionally to create an outcome. Why do all young people look the same way in the world? Because they are all produced by the same system. Hollywood. Hollywood produces what we call pop culture in the world. Hollywood is a more powerful instrument than the US Army in the articulation of US dominance in the world. Part of the problem with China is he doesn't have soft powers. He has hard powers, right? You can become a powerful country. You can even become a superpower without soft powers, but you can't become the superpower without soft powers. Soft power transcends military. Soft power is music, food,
film,
fashion, right? Those are soft powers. Now, China wants to take over the world, maybe, but it doesn't want to open to the world. Language is also a soft power. We spoke, there's Francophone today because of the dominance of the French. We spoke English because of the British Empire. We spoke Greek because of the Greek Empire. We spoke Latin because of the Roman Empire, right? And if you can, even Nigeria is scaling Afrobeat. South Africa is scaling our food. Fufu is scaling. Jollof rice has been ready for the world for years. We just need entrepreneurs and innovators to put it right, and the whole world will be eating jollof rice, right? The idea is that you can tell your stories. I mean, reggae was all over the world in the 80s and in the 90s. It was all over the world. So many people, they don't even know, they didn't even understand patois. They're not even hearing what they're saying. But music is a language.
Right.
And it's universal, right? Till today, a lot of white people are dancing to Burna Boy. They are dancing to Whiskey. They don't know what they're saying. But they move to it, right? You can scale anything. It comes down to the audacity for telling your story. I call it adventure capital. The idea that you can honor possibilities and you can respect your capacity to, write your own story in such a way that you can create believers for it, right? No matter what that is. And I think that is what a lot of founders and entrepreneurs and innovators in Africa must now come to understand. The mystery about branding is that it doesn't have to be true. I always say that you can't be so naive and define your highest meaning within the borders of right and wrong. When you are ready to take over the world, you have to transcend the limits of right and wrong and focus and elevate to the needful. And the needful at times may even fail the test of right. It can pass the test of wrong, but it's the needful thing. And you won't believe in my biggest case for that is Christ. It was wrong for Christ to die. It was right for Christ to live. But the Bible says it was needful for Christ to die. And, the needful at times transcends the limits of even morality. And I say that very respectfully. So in writing brand stories, we have to be very forceful, right? We have to be very forceful. We have to be very compelling. It's just like I tell young men that you should not kill, you should not destroy anything, but you should be dangerous enough to be able to do it if you have to. If somebody walks in here with a gun and he has shot the security and he has shot somebody else and he walks in here and when he's trying to come in, he trips and his gun came here, I'm not going to pick it and say, you are want. No. I'm going to pick the gun and I'm going to shoot him. I'm going to shoot him. And because I'm not a professional shooter, I'm going to shoot as fast and as much as I can to silence that evil. Because I would rather take this one man out than take the chance of losing everybody in this room. I can pick that gun and be crying and be appealing to him. So I'm not going to go out of my way looking for danger, but I should be dangerous enough to maximize that moment, to save 15 people by taking out one man who has chosen to be evil, right? And I think that type of elasticity of the soul is important for how we navigate. People are not going to trust your brand because you want them to trust it. You have to be very scientific. You have to know. So I want to sell cupcakes to Gen Z, right? I always say that the boldness to ask 5 simple questions in your storytelling. Where is the value you seek? Where is the money? Who is holding this money? How do you reach these people? If you reach them, what do you say to them? If you know what to say, how do you say it? Right? And being honest and brutal in answering those questions makes all the difference. Right? So I also believe there are only 6 stories to tell at every point in time. And when we say bestsellers, success at the box office, when we say that, and as somebody who has experienced best-selling effect before, I know that you must be telling one of 6 stories at any point in time. Otherwise, you are going to miss that scale. And it's a story of grace, otherwise called Rise, R-I-S-E. Whether you are telling the story of Rise, or what I call the story of grace, or you are telling the story of fall, otherwise called the story of grass, or you are telling the story of rise, fall, which is grace to grass, or you are telling the story of fall, rise, which is the story of grass to grace, or you are telling the story of rise, fall,
And then
rise, which is the story of Donald Trump, which is grace, fall,
and rise again.
and grace again. But the story of fall, rise, and then fall, which is grass, grace, and then grass.
Which is what I'm hoping the story of Donald Trump will be.
You know, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but the idea of Donald Trump in this season appeals to me.
Yeah,
And I'm not a fan of anybody, actually. You know, I have, when I'm in Nigeria, I say I'm not PDP, I'm not APC, I'm not Labour. When I'm in America, I say I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican, I'm not independent. I have my agenda in the world, and every power block and every ideology is either working for my agenda or is against my agenda. It's as simple as that. I don't belong to any ideological group. I belong to my mission. I understand it. I'm committed to it. And every day of my life, I'm living it. And I respect every other thought, every other ideology, every other position out there, to the extent that I also understand how they serve my journey. Right? That's what it is. There's no sentiments there. There's nothing wrong with anybody's commitment. You just don't have yours. And once you don't have yours, you worry about everybody. Right? So everybody should be about something. My hope is that it will be something right for society. But even if it is not right for something, you have to be about something.
Yeah.
Right? Even if it is wrong, you will never be in history except you do something, right or wrong. So that you build the world or you destroy it to qualify to be in the documents of history. Legacy is not built by wishes, you build it by contribution. Whether you contribute to our pain by multiplying it, or you contribute to our peace and relief by multiplying it, but only a contribution of some sort can qualify you to be documented in history. It's as simple as that. So I said, I don't care what you are trying to do in the world. I hope it is the kind of things I'm trying to do. I hope it is the kind of things that live the world. But whatever you are trying to do, if you have a plan to be somebody, you have to do something. You have to do something.
PK, it's been a great episode.
Well, we're not done. We're not done. I have another question. When it comes, last one. When it comes to the church, do you think the church right now needs more disruption than revival?
I don't even think revival makes sense.
Right.
I think that revival is a convenient, impractical, and naive way of posturing for the future. Because revival is suggesting, in my head, reenactment, right? We are trying to reproduce a value we understand in history. We want to reproduce it. But Jesus said, if you believe in me, the works that I do, you will do. He said, if you believe in me, 2 things will happen. The works that I do, you will do. Greater works than that, you will do. So that's 2 things. So I asked someone, so what are the greater works? What are the greater works that you will do? Maybe we don't know it. We can debate that. But we know the works he has done. Right? So whatever the greater works are, they are not what he has done. So if we can take out what he has done, whatever is left should be the greater works.
Yeah.
So what has he done? He has raised the dead. He has opened the eyes of the blind. He has done all of those. Those are the things he has done. So they will not be the greater works as far as I'm concerned. And I think that we have scriptures that says the glory of the latter will be greater than that of the former. So whatever is in the former cannot be the comfort for the newness that the future must experience. And even Jesus said, you don't put new wine into old wine skin. So I don't even think the concept of revival is scriptural.
Yeah.
I don't even think so. I don't think we should look into the past trying to reproduce what is there. I think we should honor the force of newness and try to produce what God is doing now. And I don't think that, God is really as interested in scaling healing. And do you know what God has done because a miracle for me is anything that creates speed, affordability, and ease, right? And speed. That's a miracle. And I think that when a plane takes off from Lusaka to London, it is still the miracle at the Red Sea. The difference is that it's now happening with a God-given wisdom to do that faster, cheaper, easier, right? And more affordably, right? That is why that's the miracle. We cross the Red Sea literally every day when we fly, right? We cross the Red Sea. We don't cross it with as much stress, as much drama, right? What we call miracle is drama. We don't see the elevation of a miracle or a new update that has come to elevate the experience of that miracle. So an airplane, for me, is the elevation of the miracle at the Red Sea. The miracle at the Red Sea is that a people moved from a point of impossibility to possibility, which is what the plane is still doing till today. It's just that it lacks the drama and the stress of how it happened in the Red Sea.
Yeah.
So every time we leave here today, you must understand that, science and the partnership of spirituality are amazing. And my thinking is that, as we move into the future, we create more ease. Today, human beings in the lab are growing human air. They are growing it literally.
I saw that.
People are growing human parts. There are possibilities in biotechnology that is humbling, for want of a better word. There are people who are promising the death of death, right? That the choice to age in the future will be the new suicide, right? Those kind of possibilities are now on ground that human parts can now be regrown from there's so much available in possibilities in science today, and these are not random. These are God-given ideas.
The direwolf.
Sorry,
they brought back the direwolf. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see that though. But
they found its DNA and
imagine that, and the limits through ethical rules about say cloning, for example. And the lid that is still placed on that. And those lids are going to come off at some point. So, and then if you look at the artificial super intelligence, ASI, artificial general intelligence, AGI, the possibilities in that, the conversations about singularity, you look at all of that, you think God is really trying to secure the future by healing the blind, right? Who is blind between Stevie Wonder and his chauffeur? Think about it. Who is blind between his driver and Stevie Wonder? Stevie Wonder is not wandering. He's not guessing through life, right? The governor of Texas, a country that is more prosperous than Nigeria, bigger than Nigeria, the governor of Texas is on wheelchair. He has always been on wheelchair. He's going to be on wheelchair forever. Probably going to become American president one day if he wins, right? So disability has become an unpopular type of ability. The rules, the softwares running the universe is changing on a daily basis, right? So I really don't think that God in the future is the linear way we looked at God 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago. right? God is not changing. He doesn't change, but his methods are always changing. And we should not confuse the mission for the method. Transportation is a mission. Human beings are going to move forever. But the method of experiencing it will be changing in response to changing types, changing generation, changing markets, and changing people. So we were jogging at the time. We got on camels. We got on horses. We got on chariots. We got on into ship, car. Then we started flying, right? Music is a mission. We were going to listen to music till we die. But at some point, it was records, it was tapes, it's iTunes, it's downloads now, it's all kinds of things now because it will keep changing, right? Yeah. So whether we like it or not, the methods for experiencing missions will continue to change. The problem is where we confuse the method for the mission and we confuse the mission for the method. So we ignore the methods, meaning we are not innovating, and then we camp around the mission. We ignore the method, then we prioritize the mission without the method. Or we ignore the mission and then camp around the method as the mission. So it is still unchanging because we've called it a mission, right?
Yeah.
So, and then we get stuck. You can't be so loyal to what is working and forget it's going to change. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't be so loyal to what has produced the success of this podcast and forget that there are updates you have to take.
Yeah.
It's going to change. Ask Kodak, ask Yahoo, ask Nokia. These are colossal organizations. These are BlackBerry. I mean, these are massive organizations. Powers by design are cultured to fade into irrelevance, except there's an intentionality between birth and that continued relevance that continues to innovate that power, right? Where's the Roman Empire after 1,000 years? Where are they? It's now humble Italy. Where's the British Empire? It's humble England. Where's the Greek Empire? That is Greece seeking space in the European Union. Where's the Babylonian Empire? That's Iraq. Where is the Ottoman Empire that defeated the Roman Empire? That's humble Turkey.
Persians.
The Persians is humble Iran, right? Real power, once tasted, does not vanish. It fades into an irrelevance to endure a new kid on the block. That torture is what you are going to experience to remind you that you were once powerful. To remain powerful and remain on the stage, only intentionality, adventure creates that. And I think that is where the church has to be, the intentional commitment to depend on the Holy Spirit for the newness of methods while being clear about the future. So for me, revival is not the way to go. Newness is the way to go. There's so much new that we have not seen in God than, you look at speaking in tongues. Look at the way the church talks about speaking in tongues. It's so difficult for modern world to understand it. It's so difficult because we discuss it as a primitive fiber given to us by an ancient God. But when you look at the operation of speaking in tongues, it's an encryption. It's a coded conversation between two ends. And if you understand it like that, it's easier to explain that to anybody and say, do you know encryption in WhatsApp? That is how speaking in tongues is. Speaking in tongues is a coded conversation between two ends. He that speaketh in tongues speaketh not to man, but to God, for no one understand. Howbeit in the spirit, he speak mysteries, right? So when the Bible said it is finished, when Jesus said it is finished, that's a loop. That's a loop. Seed time harvest shall never cease. That's a loop. So how do we talk about God in our everyday contemporary world and in a modern world? I think that should be the focus of the church. And I think that as we move into the future, the ministries who understand evangelism before must elevate to a new idea, which is culture shaping. Evangelism in the future is about culture shaping. And any religious system that misses culture shaping is jogging very fast into yesterday. Culture shaping is the game-changing instrument for the future. That is true for businesses. That is true for families, for nations, for entire industries. That is true for music, entertainment. Any idea that will not shape culture has no place in the future. Gen Z will choke it. Gen Alpha, Gen Beta. Those three generations cannot interpret anything outside pop culture.
Yeah.
And pop culture is the way we live, the way we love, the way we play, the way we walk, and the way we die. And whatever you are producing that cannot lock into one or more of those 5 things, right, is a self-initiated commitment to take yourself into the past.
You still have your 10 questions?
No, I have a lot. Wait, hold on. But this is my last though. Well, I've got a couple of last. I have a friend of mine that asked me to look into Feng Shui, and I bought like Feng Shui bracelets, etc. But what's your thought on that?
I think that, symbols are going to get more, and I'm speaking of the futurist now.
Yeah.
Symbols are going to get more traction as we move to the future.
I have that in my car, actually.
A lot of merchandising, a lot of product development will be relevant to the future. Young people are going to invest more in symbolisms. So anything that hand chains, brooches, T-shirts with messaging, anything that symbolizes a deeper meaning. The young people of the future are going to ask less. They're going to ask less questions. They're going to ask less of questions like, what is this? Young people in the future are going to ask questions like, what does this mean? What truth does it embody? In the future, authority is not the truth. Truth is the authority in the future. And truth tellers and those who organize it, who advocate for it, have degrees, PhDs, all of those things are going to lose strength. And academics as we know it, in fact, in some countries, even in the United States now, there are people lobbying for the eradication of the law school, for example. They said they want apprenticeship to define law practice, not the law school. Because more is learned observing than in a classroom. Even medicine, a lot of what we know today is going to return to apprenticeship. And so, I think that there's a lot of future for that. I don't even think that anybody should be doing anything that is scaling without thinking of merch. I think merchandising should be part of the strategy for any voice that is happening, even for things like podcasts. Right? Merchandising is the way to go.
Okay. So I'm just going to ask rapid fire questions. It's like quick fire. So
please, let's go.
Right. So tradition or rebellion?
Rebellion.
Okay. Nigeria or diaspora?
Diaspora.
Purpose or money first?
Both. You know what I say?
Tell me.
Or is very oppressive. You have to be guided how you use or.
Yeah.
Because or is limiting.
Yeah.
And is genius. And in anything you do, if I'm confronted with or, I will seek the and, because there's more value in and.
Right.
We don't have billionaire because of or. If it is or, there will never be Bill Gates.
Right, because you have to choose
do
one.
this and this and this and this and this. So the genius of the and is key. So even for the ones that I've chosen, Nigeria is priority, but the soul, the prosperity of Africa is in the diaspora. I believe that righteously. The brain drain we've experienced has morphed into a brain gain that we have to maximize. And it's outside.
My last question. Who is one thought leader we should stop listening to?
Who is one thought leader
that we should stop listening
to?
That
we should stop listening to. Woo! First of all, it's a long list. I have to say, it's a very long list. But
you give us 2 or 3.
I'm going to appeal to let me pass on that one.
Okay.
Just because I'm going to have to mention names. I'm very careful how I mention names because I don't see human beings. I see fathers and mothers. I see their children. And I see traction and where they can go. So I focus on principle. I focus on the issues. I avoid names.
Ask me the same question.
Sorry?
Ask me the same question.
Okay. Who are the thought leaders we should stop listening to?
Vusi Tembekwayo.
Did you say who?
Vusi Tembekwayo.
Oh, really?
Have you heard of him?
Oh, it's my friend.
Easy.
I know him. I know him very well. I thought more people should listen to Vusi though.
Why should we stop listening to Vusi? I listen to Vusi. I love Vusi.
And this is why your life is still stagnant, sir.
It's stagnant. That's what the publicized things that I do doesn't mean my life is stagnant.
PK, this has been amazing.
No.
We greatly appreciate this. I'm truly greatly humbled that I actually spoke to you. I was in awe the first time that I heard you speak, even more so today. And the fact that I'm sitting here speaking to you, by far, this has been the best episode that I've ever had.
Thank you.
I don't think anything will top this.
Your silence was golden.
I didn't speak much. Hey,
Yeah.
I was reading the comments when people were like, "Oh, it's actually good that Elson was not around for the Rev. What's his name? The one that we had in the previous episode, Walter. Because he interrupts. He asks too many questions."
I've had a great time, a fantastic time. And you gentlemen are awesome.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
sure there will be more time for us to collaborate and do big things.
True.
Yes.
From your mouth
I
to
look
God's
forward to
ears,
that.
sir.
I look forward to
How long are you around for in Zambia?
I leave on Monday. I leave on Monday night. I actually have an event today.
Okay.
I have an event 4 p.m. today.
What event is that?
That is PK Loan.
Okay.
The theme is Cypher Spectra, Messages from the Future.
Okay.
And everybody's invited. You are invited if you can make it. But I do have that. And tomorrow is a free event. It's not a paid event.
Great.
Tomorrow we have an event called Galactic Billionaire. That's a paid event. It's happening at the Quorum. I don't know if
Quorum?
The Quorum.
What time?
Quorum
Kabulonga.
at 4 p.m.
Okay.
It's happening 4 p.m. at the Quorum.
Okay.
That's a paid event though. It's $600. But that is happening there. But that's why I'm here. And then I'm ministering in the church tomorrow morning as well. So, yeah. Then on Monday we pack it up.
And then
Back
back
to
to
Texas.
America.
Back to Nigeria for 2 days and then back to America.
So you live in Texas?
I live in Dallas, Texas. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Back to your wife, Tiwa.
Yes.
Not Savage.
No.
And David.
And David.
Your son,
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Man, that's cool. Yeah, well, we've heard a lot about Texas.
Yes, it's a beautiful.
You're very,
It's an amazing place.
yeah.
It's a place to visit, an incredible state to live in.
Abortion has been abolished there, right?
Yes, and so many other things. Texas is the place with you don't need a license to have a gun in Texas.
You just buy one
You just need to be 18
over the counter.
and you can buy one. Right? It's just that
lot is going on in
the laws
Texas.
are with Texas.
And
It's a
Joel is
great
doing as
economy,
well.
one of the fastest growing cities in the world. One of the fastest growing states in the world. That's one of the fastest growing cities are in Texas. Right? If you have to do anything in the United States, think Texas.
Great.
I'll promote Texas any day. You know.
Yeah,
There's also Joel Steve.
they say everything
Yes,
is big.
yes, it's there.
Right? Everything is big in Texas.
Everything is big. In Texas, we say go big or go home.
Dome thing is in Texas, yeah?
I have no idea.
Which one?
The one that has it's like a screen, but it's a dome as well. What's it?
I don't know about it, but everything is in Texas. That I assure you.
Catfish.
Everything
Okay.
is there.
Anyway, everything's in Texas.
PK,
it's been
thank you
great.
so much. This has been incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Again, I know people will have to watch this over and over again to catch what you've just said.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I had a great time.
Until, are we still doing Mchajati?
Yeah.
So this will air this Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I think we should have this one before Mjatati.
Yeah. If nothing else pops up, then yeah, this will air this Tuesday, and after that we'll probably have Mjajati. So please keep hitting that subscribe button on YouTube. Oh, that's my camera. Thank you, Virgin. On YouTube, the follow button on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. Let's grow the numbers. That's the only way that we can get legends like PK on the podcast. Until next week.